Christmas night was too quiet when he said that. The emotional camera zooms in on the little one. Noah, 9 years old, Noah sat alone on the cold living room floor, the tree shining in the background and the twinkling lights reflecting in his teary eyes. The whole house was empty, not a sound of footsteps, not an echo of voices, not the smell of the prepared supper. Just him, and the old letter he found inside the drawer that no one had touched for years. His breath trembled. His small fingers gripped the yellowed envelope with such care that it seemed like it would tear at the touch. Outside, thick snow fell, covering everything in white. Noah noticed that the letter had his name written on it in adult handwriting, firm handwriting he knew, but that no one had ever mentioned. A mixture of fear, abandonment, and discovery settled in his heart. He ran his finger over the name and asked the silence, "What did you hide from me?" Before he can muster the courage to open it, the light flickers as if the whole house is reacting to the secret. And it is here, at this very moment, that the story begins. At the point where Christmas ceases to be a celebration and becomes a revelation. Before we delve into this amazing story, tell me which city and state you're watching from. Leave a comment and I'll reply with gratitude. And while you're at it, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and like this video. We want to share more stories like this. That day had begun with the kind of chaos that seemed normal for Christmas Eve. Rushing around, shopping bags scattered across the house, coats piled high, people talking loudly, and nothing getting ready on time. Noah was wearing his favorite red sweater, covered in embroidered reindeer, trying to keep up with everyone while holding the mug of hot chocolate his grandmother usually made, but which he had to try to make himself that year. The house smelled of cinnamon, last-minute frying, freshly baked bread, and yet he felt a little invisible amidst the chaos. The adults talked amongst themselves. "Grab the keys. Where's Auntie's present? Get the car ready. Turn off the oven." Noah tried to keep up, but no one seemed to notice that he was always one step behind. When the family car finally sped off to his aunt's house, where that year's Christmas dinner would take place, he was in the hallway, tying his shoes. He didn't have time. He heard the door slam. He heard the key turn. He heard the car disappear outside. He stood motionless, clutching the shoelace that never quite tied. For a few seconds he believed it was just a mistake, that they would be back. But when the snow began to fall harder and the streetlights went out one by one, Noah realized that reality was much harsher than he had imagined. They were gone. They were really gone. And they had forgotten him. The feeling wasn't one of immediate panic. It was more like a pang in his chest, an unanswered question that repeated itself like a cold whisper. Why didn't anyone miss me? His heart tightened, and the large house seemed enormous, empty, full of shadows. He walked slowly through the rooms, turning lights on, turning others off, trying to imitate what his mother would do. But each gesture only made the loneliness that filled every corner clearer. However, it was in an attempt to ward off the silence that Noah opened the forbidden drawer in the living room, the one that could never be touched. And it was there, among old photos, folded papers, and antique ornaments, that he found the envelope with his name on it. An envelope that seemed to have been left there on purpose, as if the secret was just waiting for the house to be empty to finally speak. At first, Noah tried to open the letter carefully, but his hands trembled too much. The fear wasn't of the paper, it was of what he would discover. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes for a moment, and remembered his grandmother's voice saying that secrets only hurt when they are kept. Then he opened it. Inside the envelope was a sheet of paper folded into 3 parts. The ink was bluish, the font large and firm. He recognized it. It was his mother's handwriting. "My dear Noah," it began. His eyes filled with tears instantly. The letter continued, saying that before he was born, something had happened that they had never dared to tell him. His mother had a missing twin brother, someone the family never managed to find, someone who left behind deep pain, and that Noah's arrival had been the cure for many of those voids. But the strongest secret was at the end of the letter. His mother believed that one day, Noah might have the sensitivity and courage that the whole family lacked. He would be the one to close cycles, to find answers, to hear the silence, and see what the adults were afraid to look at. If one day you find this letter, it means you've grown up where we couldn't, and that you're ready to know that it wasn't us who chose to leave you behind. It was destiny that made you stay to discover what was always here. Noah didn't understand everything, but he understood one thing. He wasn't alone by accident. He was alone because there was something in that house that only he could find. Something that perhaps had been trying to reveal itself for years. So, even with a heavy heart, he slowly stood up, looked at the shimmering tree, and murmured, "What do you want me to see?" The house answered with a crackling sound from the hallway, and Noah followed the sound. Noah walked down the hallway with small steps, trying to make as little noise as possible, even knowing that there was no one else there to be woken or frightened. The sound he heard seemed to have come from the wall near the guest room, that door that was almost never opened because nobody uses it, as his mother said. The Christmas lights reflected on the walls, creating shadows that danced as he passed, and with each movement of the twinkling lights, the boy felt his heart race, as if the house were alive, breathing along with him. The letter was still in his left hand, crumpled from how much he squeezed the paper without realizing it, and the envelope had ended up tucked into the pocket of his red sweater. "If you ever find this letter," the phrase echoed in his mind, as if it were a voice whispering in his ear. He stopped in front of the guest room door and noticed that it was ajar, which it shouldn't be, because his mother always kept it closed. The creaking sound he'd heard earlier could have been the wind. It could have been the wood warping because of the cold. But that night, everything seemed to have a different meaning. Noah pushed the door open slowly, and the smell of the forgotten room filled the hallway. The smell of something stored away, of old wood, of souvenirs that no one touches. The window was closed, but the curtain trembled slightly, as if a trickle of air still slipped in through the cracks. Inside, the bed was too neatly made, pillows lined up, a blanket folded with millimeter precision. In the corner, a chest of drawers with 3 drawers, on top of it a picture frame turned upside down. That caught the boy's attention more than anything. Who had turned the picture frame upside down? And why? He approached cautiously, as if at any moment someone could walk in and catch him disobeying, even knowing the house was empty. His hands trembled, but curiosity outweighed fear. He picked up the picture frame and gently turned it over. The photo showed his mother younger, perhaps in her teens, next to a boy who looked very much like her. So much so that, for a second, Noah thought he was looking at a reflection of himself from another time. The hair, the shape of the eyes, the smile, half shy, half mischievous. But that boy wasn't him. He'd never taken that picture. It wasn't a computer montage nor a joke. Then for the first time, the word twin began to make sense in his head. The letter had mentioned a missing twin brother, someone who had left a hole in the family. And now he was there, staring at the face of this someone no one had ever shown him. "Why didn't they ever tell me?" he whispered, running his finger across the surface of the photo, as if he could feel the skin of that boy who, somehow, was a part of him too. The feeling was strange, a mixture of longing for someone he never knew and anger at having been left out of a story that was clearly also his. He remembered the times he would enter the room and find his mother looking out the window with tears in her eyes, pretending it was an allergy. He remembered conversations cut short when he entered the room, glances exchanged between the adults, phrases like, "This isn't child's play, we'll talk about it later," that never had any follow-up. That room, that photo, that letter, everything seemed to fit together, as if pieces of an invisible puzzle had been scattered throughout the house, just waiting for him, of all people, to be alone to put it all together. The wind lashed against the window harder, lifting the curtain and revealing a small wooden chest under the side table. Noah had never seen that chest there before, or perhaps he had never even noticed it. He crouched down, dragged the object to the middle of the room with some difficulty. The chest was heavy, as if it carried years of stories inside, and ran his hand over the lid. There was a small padlock, but it was rusty, almost symbolic. A firmer pull was enough to open it, making a metallic sound that echoed in the silence of the house. Inside, he found old photos, newspaper clippings, a small broken music box, and something that caught his attention more than anything else. Another letter, this time with the same firm handwriting, but without his name on the front. Instead, there was only a date written there, the year he was born. Noah carefully picked up the letter, sat on the floor, leaning his back against the bed, and for a few seconds closed his eyes, feeling the distant sound of the church bells in the street, the twinkling of the tree in the hallway, and the silence of the room tightening his thoughts. He was afraid, of course, afraid of discovering something he wouldn't be able to forget. But the solitude of that night made the truth less frightening than the feeling of having been left behind without explanation. Then he took a deep breath and began to open the envelope. Before reading the new letter, however, his mind was drawn to memories that now took on a different hue. He remembered the time he asked his mother why he didn't have siblings, and she replied with a sad smile, "Sometimes life doesn't give us everything we want, but it tries to give us what we need." He remembered his grandmother once commenting that Christmas wasn't always like this, and then falling silent, as if she had said more than she should have. He remembered his father changing the subject every time someone talked about his mother's past, as if there were an invisible agreement that certain doors couldn't be opened. Now, sitting there with two letters, an open chest, and a photo of a boy who seemed to be his reflection, he understood the door was open, and it was too late to turn back. He placed the first letter, the one with his name on it, next to the chest, as one who respects something sacred, and unfolded the second. The handwriting was his mother's, but the tone seemed older, as if it had been written amidst still fresh pain. He was talking about a promise. He was talking about a Christmas many years before, when the family had had a terrible fight because of wrong choices, because of a son who decided to leave, because of words that should never have been said. "I had a brother," the mother wrote, "and the day he walked out that door, I said I would never speak his name again. It was the biggest lie I ever told myself. Every year on Christmas Eve I think of him. Every year I wonder if he's cold, hungry, alone. And now that you're coming into the world, I pray to God that you never know the kind of distance that separated us." Noah's eyes filled with tears again, not only because of the story itself, but because of the feeling that his mother had always feared something similar would happen to him. In a way, that night it was happening. He was there too, alone, in a house full of memories and silences. But unlike his missing uncle, he hadn't chosen to go. He had been left behind. Or maybe not exactly. The first letter said that if he had found that, it was because he was ready, because he had grown up where the adults hadn't. This idea was strange for a 9-year-old boy. How could he be more ready than grown-ups? And yet, he felt in his chest that there was something that needed to be done, something only he could do. The old letter ended with a sentence that seemed to speak directly to the present-day Noah. "My greatest fear is that the past will repeat itself. My greatest dream is that someone in the family will have the courage to look back without running away." He looked at the photo again, staring into the eyes of the boy who looked like him. "Do you still exist?" he asked the portrait, as if expecting an answer. The house responded with another noise, this time coming from downstairs, from the living room. A creaking of wood, or perhaps the sound of the heating system. But back then, any sound was an invitation. He stood up, instinctively tucked the letters into his pocket, as if afraid they would disappear if they weren't pressed against his body, and returned to the hallway. The Christmas tree downstairs was still lit, casting green, red, and gold lights on the white walls. Each step he descended was accompanied by memories. The first Christmas he received a blue toy car, the year his grandmother surprised him with a star-shaped cake, the time his mother let him put the main ornament on top of the tree, and he almost knocked everything over. These memories came like small sparks of joy in his chest, making the abandonment that night even more painful. If they loved me, why was I the one who stayed? He thought, and this question had no easy answer. Upon reaching the living room, he noticed something he hadn't before. One of the tree lights was flickering differently, flickering as if it were about to burn out. He approached and noticed that right behind the wrapped presents there was a small wooden box that wasn't part of the gifts being distributed. It was simple, without a ribbon, without a label, without anything, as if it had been placed there at the last minute, or as if it had been there for years and no one had ever touched it. Noah knelt before the tree and pushed the colorful boxes aside, making room to reach the small box. When he touched it, he felt it was cold, colder than the rest. There was something engraved on the lid, in tiny letters. He had to bring his face closer to read it. It was an initial, just one letter, but now it made perfect sense. The same initial as the name he had once heard whispered among adults, a name his mother had cut in half before asking them to change the subject. The name of his missing uncle. Noah's heart raced. He opened the box with trembling fingers and found inside a small metal pendant with two little figures holding hands and a piece of paper folded many times, so small it seemed to want to hide. He opened the paper and saw a short message, written in a different handwriting this time, more careless, more slanted to the side. If you ever read this, please tell my sister that I never stopped loving our family. I just didn't know how to get back. The signature was a name he didn't recognize well, but it bore the same initial engraved on the box. His uncle, the silent ghost of untold stories. At that moment, Noah's loneliness gave way to something else. He was still physically alone, still missed his mother's noise, the smell of food, his father's laughter. But there was something new there, the feeling of being part of something bigger, of a story that neither began nor ended with him. He realized that if he was in that house alone, with those letters and that box, perhaps it wasn't just an accident. Perhaps in some way he didn't yet understand, Christmas was offering him a chance to do what no one before had dared to do, to connect the loose ends. The fear still resided in his chest, of course, with each creak, each shadow. He remembered that he was just a child in a house that was too big. But holding the little box and feeling the light weight of the pendant in the center of his hand, he whispered to himself, "I'm not going to let this story die here. Neither yours nor mine." And for the first time that night, instead of feeling merely left behind, he began to feel chosen. Noah remained kneeling before the tree for a few seconds, breathing slowly, feeling the cold air of the room enter his lungs as if trying to clear a space inside him that had become too cramped throughout his life. The flickering light reflected on the metallic pendant, making the two little figures shine in gold and silver as if they had a life of their own. He ran his finger over the tiny figures, wondering if they represented his mother and brother, or perhaps his own uncle and someone he once loved. The folded paper still trembled in his hand, even now unfolded, as if the ink of the words were awakening after years of silence. It was strange to think that someone, at some point so far in the past, wrote that message believing it would never be read, as if speaking to the future, betting against oblivion. Noah, even without understanding everything, felt a strange responsibility growing in his chest, a kind of timid courage that matched his age, but also carried something greater, as if he were inheriting a mission. He stood up slowly, carefully picked up the small box and placed it on the rug beside the tree. The flame of the electric candles flickered slightly, creating shadows that seemed to dance on the sofa, the wall, and the framed photos. The whole house seemed to be watching him, as if waiting for his next move. He took a few steps back, away from the tree, and went to the living room window. The snow outside fell heavily, covering the street, the parked cars, the sidewalks. The streetlights made each flake seem like a tiny bright dot, falling slowly, with an almost magical serenity. Noah rested his forehead against the cold glass and let his gaze wander for a moment until something caught his attention. A soft glow coming from the neighbor's house. An older couple, who always greeted him kindly, were sitting near the fireplace. The wife was knitting, the husband was reading a thick book, and the dog was sleeping curled up on the rug. The scene was peaceful, cozy, like a living Christmas card. Even across the street, Noah could see the affection between them, the sense of belonging, the warmth that seemed to come more from each other's presence than from the fireplace. It made his chest ache. It was beautiful. It was sad. It was enviable. He wanted to be close to his own family like that, but despite the smiles he remembered from mornings and afternoons of other days, there was always something hidden there. A strange silence in his mother's eyes, a tension that arose when the subject was the past, a distraction from his father whenever someone mentioned the word brother. That night, caught between longing and mystery, Noah discovered that belonging can hurt as much as not belonging. Looking back at the silent house, he noticed another curious detail. Near the kitchen door, there was a string of lights running underneath, as if a lamp had been left on inside. He was sure the family had turned everything off when they left. Something hesitated, but curiosity got the better of him. With slow steps, he crossed the room, clutching the folded paper tightly, as if it were a charm for courage. As he opened the kitchen door, the warm light lit up his face. The lamp hanging from the ceiling illuminated all the familiar objects, gleaming pots, stacked dishes, the Christmas tablecloth on the table. But one thing was out of place. In the middle of the table, there was a half-empty cup of hot chocolate, and Noah knew that cup wasn't his. He stopped, frozen in the doorway, his heart racing. How was that cup there? No one else was in the house. The drink was still warm. That was the kind of detail that could mean everything, or nothing. An adult might say it was forgotten before the rush to leave, but Noah knew that no one had had hot chocolate that day, nor had they had time. It didn't make sense. His hand began to tremble. He took a step back, then another. But at the same moment he heard a noise coming from the laundry room hallway. That creaking sound of wood, not very loud, but perceptible, as if someone were there, breathing in rhythm with the place. Noah squeezed the letter between his fingers and whispered, "Is anyone here?" The silence returned the question without explanation. He stood on tiptoe and approached the laundry room, slowly opening the door that always made a characteristic creak. There were folded clothes, empty baskets, and the side window was closed despite the strong wind outside. But that wasn't what caught his attention. It was a boot print on the floor, a recent print, one that hadn't been there when Mom cleaned the laundry room that morning, a damp print with melting snow around it. Noah swallowed hard. His uncle couldn't be there. It was impossible. He didn't even know if he was alive. It was crazy to think of such a coincidence. But the print was there, real, present, fresh, and then, without warning, something fell in the room, a dry thud, as if an object had been dropped on the carpet. Noah turned immediately, his heart pounding too hard for his size. He ran back into the room, almost tripping on the decorated rug, and when he arrived, he found an old Christmas ornament on the floor, a porcelain angel with golden wings, broken in half. It never fell on its own. Never. It was the heaviest ornament on the tree. It always got caught on the thickest branches. Noah approached and touched the pieces. The angel was warm. Someone had held it seconds before it entered the room. He didn't hear footsteps. He didn't hear doors opening. He didn't hear drafts strong enough to knock over such a heavy object, but the angel was warm. And that meant the house wasn't empty. Fear gripped his stomach in a painful way. But along with the fear came something else, a strange certainty, almost whispered in his mind, that something or someone was trying to get his attention. Gathering his courage, Noah stood up and decided he would go to the attic. He didn't know why. He just knew. The attic was the place in the house where old memories were kept. Boxes of albums, his grandmother's clothes, broken toys, old letters, forgotten ornaments. A place that always gave him the shivers when someone needed to go in there. And that night seemed to demand that he face all the constraints. He climbed the stairs slowly, listening to the creaking of the steps beneath his feet. With each step, old memories came to mind. His grandmother saying that ghosts don't exist, but that pain lingers in houses, echoing like weary voices. His mother saying the attic was just a mess, that there was nothing special there. His father saying it was dangerous to climb alone, that he could fall. But none of that mattered. Noah needed to understand. He needed to piece together the fragments that had been finding their place inside him since the first letter. As he opened the attic door, a cold wind swept through his body. The small window was ajar, and snowflakes slipped in through the crack, landing on boxes and old books. The hanging lamp swayed slightly, illuminating the dust dancing in the air. Noah entered slowly, taking a deep breath, and closed the door behind him. The atmosphere was too quiet, the kind of silence that seems to expect something. He walked carefully among the boxes, running his fingers over the surface of the objects, as if he could recognize something without seeing clearly. That's when he saw, in the darkest corner, a shadow. Small, sitting, motionless. His heart nearly stopped. He squinted, trying to focus better, and then realized it wasn't a person, it was a coat. An old coat, hanging over an old wooden chair. He approached, gasping for air, and saw something in the coat pocket. A folded envelope. An envelope with the same crooked, slanted handwriting as the message found in the little box. It was from him, his uncle. Alive or not, he had left traces, and Noah was following them all. Noah stood in front of the coat for a few seconds, breathing slowly, trying to decipher the weight of that envelope, as if holding the last piece of a puzzle that had always been missing. He carefully opened it, feeling the rough paper between his fingers, and read a short message, written hastily but full of truth. If you found this, it means you're strong enough to understand. I never left because I didn't love my family. I left because I felt like I was just a burden. But I never stopped watching from afar. I never stopped wanting to come back. And I never stopped knowing that one day you would exist, and that your courage would be greater than the silence I carry. I'm sorry for being a ghost, and thank you for finding me, even without knowing my name. Noah's tears fell before he even realized it. For the first time he understood he wasn't alone because he had been forgotten, but because he was the only one capable of finding what no one before had been able to face. He held the letter to his chest as one holds a memory rescued from the depths of time, and descended from the attic slowly, feeling the house lighter, as if something had finally been pacified within the walls and within him. And when he heard the front door open hours later, with his family rushing in, desperate to realize their mistake, Noah ran to them, still holding the envelope to his chest. His mother hugged him crying, his father apologized 1,000 times, and he, with a small but firm voice, simply showed them the letter and said, "I wasn't alone. I found what was missing. And now, we never have to hide anything again." The mother recognized the handwriting instantly and broke down, hugging her son as if holding a miracle. That Christmas night, with snow covering the street and lights twinkling through the window, Noah finally understood that sometimes the truth arrives in silence, sometimes in pain, but it always arrives to heal. And in that instant, surrounded by arms that now knew the whole story, he realized he hadn't been forgotten. He had been chosen to find the missing light and return it to his family.